Morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over my plan for Shadowlands. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so starting off this video, we are going to be going over my plan for Shadowlands as a gold maker. By what we've actually been seeing with the development of the professions and all of that jazz and how the world's shaping up on the alpha. Obviously, I don't have access to the alpha, but it's quite nice to actually see what's actually going about. Now, other than that, the plan thus far will start off at number 1, which is going to be leveling. Obviously, leveling is going to be an eccentric part of pretty much getting started with Shadowlands, and that will be my very first start. Now, what I intend to do is I will level 6 of my 10 characters. That is because the 6 that I've actually chosen, that is like Zathrash, Corthana, who I'm on at the moment. We have Giblet, my enchanter, and all of the others. Basically, I'm going to be leveling those first. Now, starting off with this, I will be leveling my highest priority characters, and that will be Corthana, my herbalist and miner. I will be also leveling Zathrash at the very first, and he will be my inscription and my alchemist. I want to get on top of inscription and alchemy as soon as possible because I want to set myself up for the big game when it comes to when the first raid is released. I want to be able to get all of the necessary flasks and potions and everything all set up, ready to go when the first raid night actually happens. This is where I'm going to be supplying and stocking up on all of my materials. So obviously I'm going to have my inscription, and so obviously I'll be leveling my rogue first, and then I'll be leveling Corthana, who is my herbalist and miner. She'll be gathering all of the materials, and instead of selling those on the auction house flat out for a gold per hour wise, I will actually be turning those into the flasks and potions and all that jazz. Now, aside from that, Corthana is also my main fishing character, so I will be doing a lot of fishing as well as using her cooking abilities in order to level up her cooking as well, because we will need the feasts and the buff food for when Shadowlands on the first raid night. That being the case, we can also take the approach of we can try and make some gold as soon as possible, but I will want to get prepped for the first raid night, as that is usually when you get the most bang for your buck. Now, on a high population server like myself, the prices are going to fluctuate quite dramatically, so that's why I'm going to be prepping for the first raid night as opposed to launch day, sell everything. The next step will be to level my blacksmith, who is Nyros, my warlock, and he'll be focusing on the BOE items. And in conjunction with my inscription character, I will be getting the word of power 4 or something along that effect. That's to boost the eye level of the stat gear for blacksmithing, and then I will be able to craft those gears with higher eye level, which then will sell more faster because people will want the higher eye level. So that's what I'll be doing right there. The next stage will be to level my enchanter after that, and he is also my tailor, so we'll already have ourselves set up to produce the higher eye level stuff. Then we'll start on the enchanting stuff and also the tailoring BOE gear. After that, I will then be jumping onto Balthorg, my shaman, who is also my leather worker. Now, he will be jumping on and crafting all of his BOEs as well, because I want to be able to flood the market with all of my BOEs, high eye level BOEs. That's what I'll be primarily doing. So overall, it will just mainly be gather as much materials as possible and try and turn those into all of that. So I will be making a concise plan as and when we find out all the relevant farms. Now, the last person to actually farm up to level up will be my skinner, who is Dala GG, my demon hunter. Now, what he'll be doing is he'll be leveling up his skinning while he's leveling, and also I'll be doing any of the other necessary quests that go along with that. And then last and finally will be my jewel crafter and my engineer. Now, primarily, depending on whether the profession holds out quite well, I will be leveling him before my skinner, depending on whether or not it's actually viable, which I'll let you guys know in the coming days. Now, obviously, like what I stated just before, I'll be primarily focusing on my inscription and my alchemy straight off the bat. That is because I find that all of the new trinkets actually sell rather well, and it's something that has always proven to be quite a good one to get into. Now, inscription I usually use at the beginning of every single X pack to craft all of like the Dark Moon trinkets and all that jazz, and primarily I find that to be a great way in order to make gold when you first kick off, so hence why I'll be focused mainly on my rogue this expansion coming up. The next thing is alchemy, definitely for the flasks and potions, and also my cooking, so I'll be maximizing my sales in basically anything that gets sold on raid night. Now, that being the case, that moves over to what I'll be doing after that, which will be all of my gathering professions. I will maximize everything, so any additional quests to give me bonus loot, any leveling that needs to be done on those gathering professions, I'll be doing. That is including herbalism, mining, and also my skinning, as well as fishing, because fishing is pretty much an underutilized actual profession, and at the beginning of an expansion it usually fluctuates quite a lot when it comes to the necessary different types of fish that you can fish up. So that's something I really wanted to pay attention to, because at the beginning of last expansion for BFA, I actually found that fishing provided me with the best gold per hour at the beginning of an expansion, because everyone was focused on the ores, herbs and skins, and they kind of neglected fishing, so I just made a mass killing when it came to fishing. Now, that being the case, I will also, after all of that has been done, I will start up the data collection for Worth It. This is when I'll be updating all of the Worth It Shadowlands stuff, so that'll be all the basic built-in farms that will be done. So there'll be one for like the new herbs, there'll be one done for the ores and all of that stuff. So then we can have a main dashboard for Shadowlands, which will be obviously updated as and when the logs get more and more when it comes to the gold per hour wise. Aside from that, I'll be adding in any additional different types of BOEs and all that stuff, and I'll be making a massive list on my daily planner to actually make sure that I've got all those gathered before I do a necessary release. I won't be doing it in incrementals, I'll just be doing the entire thing and then releasing the update for Shadowlands when it comes out. Being the case, the latest version of Worth It, which should be out of beta soon, is pretty much actually got itself prepared for Shadowlands. So when we actually get into Shadowlands, all it needs is just a couple of updates for the necessary farms for all the presets for Worth It. That being the case, after that I will then be focusing on gearing up every single one of my 6 ults, and then primarily doing any of the other different types of world quests, reputations. I'm going to actually be focusing more on reputations this expansion, as I found that held me the most back when it came to gold making last expansion, well, in BFA. That being the case, I want to maximize those reputations as fast as possible and then be able to pretty much sort myself out instead of having a massive struggle to get my flying as I did last expansion. That could be due to me just not wanting to actually learn flying, because I kind of found BFA to be a little bit boring than all of the other expansions thus far, especially when coming out of Legion. So that being the case, that is my actual plan at this moment in time for when it comes towards Shadowlands. What's your plan for Shadowlands when it actually rolls out? I would love to see those in the comment section down below. Other than that, guys, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.